Hi guys, it's April with Cricut Crafting. I wanted to show you guys today how to do this, I call a pop-up or pop-out card. It looks like I've got a little bit of a mess going on here, but it's organized chaos actually. This file is set up with two cards in it, and I did that because I don't like to waste paper, so all of the paper is used except part of one sheet. So this is the only scrap that I'm actually going to have. And for this particular card that I'm putting together today, I used the die cuts with a view painted petals. I used the polka dot pattern you can see sticking out here on the side. I also used die cuts with a view. They're pearl paper. Let me see if, yeah, that's the front. You get 42 sheets of this, and it's coated pearl on both sides. It's a really nice heavyweight paper. I really enjoy working with this, and I'll provide links for you guys where you might be able to find this paper. I'm not sure where I got it or when I got it. But I will look that up and see if we can find it. And then I've got a 100-pound white cardstock here. I don't know where I got this. It was either Joann's, Michael's, or Hobby Lobby. But it's a good weight paper. If you like heavyweight papers for your cardstock, Gina K will work as well. In this card I also used a die cut, but you can use any embellishment you want for the front, or either cut another panel for just having decorative paper over the top. But any die cut or anything that you have to use will work. You're going to need art glitter glue or your adhesive of choice, some stickles or Nuvo drops if you prefer. They're not necessary. I used my Spellbinder's Tool-in-One with my die cut to clean it up because mine was very intricate and it had several places where I had to poke out all of the areas and clean my die. Your weeding tool from Cricut will work for that as well. The sentiments on my card and the inside of my card, I did write using the Cricut on those. And I did not include that in the file because it bogs the file down for writing, so that you can either stamp an image, stamp a sentiment, or write your own in there. I did use the postscript font on mine that you're going to see today. So if you're wondering what font that was, it was the Cricut postscript. I used the Jelly Roll pens and the adapter from Little Paper Towns. When I use mine, I just pop my adapter out of the Cricut. I put my Jelly Roll pen in there till it clicks because they're making these a lot sturdier than they used to be. Little Paper Towns on Etsy carries those. These work great. I put my pen in and then I set this into my adapter and clamp it. But since I've got this, I rarely use Cricut markers unless I want a heavy font because I like my sentiments in my font to look like they were printed from Hallmark or wherever, and I get that look with the Jelly Roll pens. You're also going to need a piece of scrap transparency. Now I have set this file up and I set them, I originally had it set for a 5x7 card, but I needed some A2 cards, so I changed this. I did not lengthen these. So you can cut these by hand and lengthen them. When you put these together, you'll see what I mean. I wanted mine a little bit longer, so you may see me cut a couple of these a little bit longer. But you just need a scrap of that. Let's see. You'll need 2 sheets of your pearl paper, 1 sheet of your pattern paper, and 1 sheet of your white paper. You'll need a tape runner of some sort. I'm using my Xyron tape runner today, and it's just for one little area. There are extra flowers cut for these, and that's so that you can embellish the front however you want. And if you have any errors or mistakes, but you can certainly cut down that if you know you're not going to use them. My little centers here, I have already put my stickles on so they could dry and I could work with them. But you can, like I said, use Nuvo drops or whatever. You could actually use sequins, anything that you want in this file. The first thing you're going to do is fold on your score line. And you're going to fold that towards you on the front and the back. And you'll want to score that down and get it good and flat. I may be off camera here a little bit for this, but you just want to make sure that you get it good and flat. You're also going to need some cord, or hemp or ribbon or anything else you want to embellish the card with. I'm using a little bit of that hemp cord today. Let me push this out of my way so you guys can see. And then you'll want to score the other one in the same direction towards you. This is your front panel. These are going to go together basically like this, and then you have a wide decorative panel, and that's going to glue on there. But we're not going to glue this yet because you want to make sure that it lines up and everything, and the way the rest of the card goes together. So that's going to be one of your last steps. So what you'll want to do to start off with is put your flowers together. And the way that I did this, get my art glitter glue. I took one of the flowers, put a dot of glue there, and I took one of these centers. And I saw this in a red and white on Project Primrose. One of the girls did this, but she did it with a daisy, so I wanted to change it up and try it with a different flower, and I really liked the look that I got from this. Then you're going to put another dot here and place your center. So you're going to end up with a flower similar to that, and just set it to the side to dry. You're going to need at least 6 of these. They go together really quick. And that's for the inside of the card. Now I used 2 more on the inside, and if you'll notice, I'm trying to get these longer tails to stick out on the petal here. And put another drop. Just going to set these to the side to dry. I have one here. I'm going to use this one, but I'm going to show you guys also how to do a couple more. I'm just going to set these to the side until I get ready for the front, because they go together pretty quick. And like I said, there are extras, so you can figure out how many you want. I have attached everything in that file together so that it cuts on one sheet, etc. But you can detach it and get rid of whatever you don't need in that file. Next, you're going to take your transparency strips, and I do have, like I said, some extras here. I only use 3. And what you want to do is put just a small drop of glue. Here, the art glitter glue will hold these just fine. And you want to place it right about the center, and it doesn't matter if you get glue on the back side because you're going to glue another flower on top of that. I like to, on my other one, I don't know where I set that other card. There it is. On this other card, I did put some of the leaves to the back, but then I had to take one off because it was interfering once we had it put together. So I'm going to suggest you put all of your leaves to the front and not to the back like I have here. So, and the front would be opposite of the way your transparency is going. And then just dab a little glue on each one of these petals. If I can pick them up. And then line it up and place the other flower on top. And just set it to the side to dry. And then we'll do another one. This transparency is really hard to see, I know. And grab that one there. And it is raining really, really, really bad here, so you guys may be hearing that rain. I'm going to get another leaf. And I just put mine in randomly. Like I said, if you get one and you put it together and you don't like it, it's really easy with all the extras to make another one and get it like you want it. And then you also, if you don't use them, I'll have them for other projects. I like to have little embellishments like this laying around anyway, so you'll have plenty of cut just to throw on a card or an envelope. And that's probably what I'm going to do, make an envelope and use some of mine to match my cards. And then we have our 3 flowers here. Now I'm just going to figure out approximately where I want these. And if you want your flower to stick out longer, like I said, use a little longer strip. You can cut these, and if it sticks off the back, where you place it, that's fine, not going to hurt anything. Once you have it in line and we glue it together, you can trim that off on the back. But that looks pretty good to me right there. So I'm going to leave that like it is. I'm going to pull these off to the side, and I'm just going to use, this one's a little wide for this. If you have one that's thinner, probably going to get some wood. You don't have to cover the whole thing. This is just temporary so that you can move them if you don't like the alignment. You don't want to go over the top edge or the bottom edge. Let's see, I don't like that one. I'm lining mine up so I get maximum effect. And like I said, again, cut a bigger strip if you want it to come out further, but this was good for me. Once you have them in place and that's holding, put a little glue all the way across. Doesn't take much. Take your front piece with that flap, and you're going to line that up and place it. And the extra little bit of tape is going to help hold that down. You just want to press it in there really good. Make sure you open it up in case any glue squishes out like we had here, and get off any excess glue, because you don't want to glue those down. I'm using, this is a glue eraser from Thermoweb, or I'm sorry, maybe Thermoweb or Xyron. I will double check that information. I got this one at Hobby Lobby, but I was sent one with a order that I placed on HSN in a package where I got my Creative Station, and I'm not sure which one that is. There are several brands of them, but any of those will do. And you see it took the glue, and it will take it right off of there so you can't see where that glue was at all. Because I'm a very messy gluer. I get it everywhere. Don't worry about if you get glue on your transparency. Once your card is completely dried, you can take a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a cloth of some sort and rub it, and it'll come right off that transparency with no problem. And it won't damage your card. So there we have our little mechanism of the flowers that are waving. Then you'll want to put together your panels. One is wider than the other. That is going to go on the back. I like to glue mine together so that I can work with it and get it straight and then put it on the card. So let's just use a little glue here. And I am going to be making some tutorial or project videos over the next several days. This is just one of 8. I have to have 16 cards for the card swap for the scrapbook expo coming up. I will be there at the Duluth, Georgia one on Friday. I believe it's July 17th. Don't quote me on that date. I don't know, but I am going on Friday, and I am going to the card swap. I won it last year and won a ton of prizes off of it, so it's pretty exciting. As I'm more of a card maker than a scrapbook maker, but I don't mind learning scrapbook layouts and doing those for you guys too. So I'm going to go and check out what's new there. Okay, and now we have that panel on, and the front panel. Now this panel I left blank, and that's so if you wanted to have more of a writing area and do more decorative on this side, or if you wanted to decorate this side with embellishments. So it's up to you. You can cut this and just put a pattern paper in there if you like. Any way you want to dress it up. This card is extremely versatile. I did it for Father's Day on a 5x7 and used circles, and then I forgot the name of that font, but the letter was cut out of the font, out of a circle, and I placed it on top of the other circle and created, you can see that in Project Primrose, one that said Daddy down the front, and then I did I and a heart and a U on the back and put buttons on the ones in between. Turned out really, really, really good. My dad was really impressed with it, and it's sort of hard to impress him sometimes. I had made that one for my sister to give him. Let's see. And then we're going to place that panel in. Got a little glue there. I can't live without this thing because I am a messy gluer. I get glue on my fingers and I'll touch something in a heartbeat. Okay. Now that we have that on there, now is the time to glue this panel. And what I'm going to do is just line it up with that outer edge to make sure it's in the right spot. I'm going to open my card, and I'm just going to put a very little bit of glue. You don't need a gob of glue here, just a very little. I would pay attention to the corners more than anything, and then fold the flap back over and press it. You want it to stick, of course. Then open it back up, and I got it off. I should have put this on before that panel, and I didn't, but that's okay. It'll still work out. I can trim it off if it hangs over too much. It's good. I'm going to leave it. So you can butt it right up to that panel if you made the same mistake I did. Put this piece on before you put this panel on, because if I had it to do over again, I might slide that over slightly. So, but it's going to be okay. I'll hide it with my ribbon. Okay, once you have that on there, if you're going to do a flower over here like I did on the other one, go ahead and put one of those together if you didn't already put all of them together. Do that. And I'm so glad I put my stickles on before I did this, because it never fails. Every time I use stickles or Nuvo drops or whatever, I have to touch them or drop the card. Something always happens, and I end up messing up my drops. Wait. You can even pop dot these up if you want. I'm just trying to get mine to stay where I wanted it before I put glue everywhere. And then just stick your flower down. There we go. And this gives you room to sign your name, and then if you want to write a note on this other side, I am going to place a flower over there as well. Since I'm not writing on mine, mine are going for the card swap. I don't want it to look bare. But I'm not going to stick it down yet if you're going to do ribbon or jute or whatever. I did make that mistake on the other one. Not really a mistake, just a happy accident, I guess. And I'm going to use that. Next, I'm going to put on my jute. I'm going to wrap it. And I like to hold mine down. I think I'm going to put my sentiment at the bottom on this one as well. I like to use a pop dot to hold that in place while I'm working with it. And then just going to wrap this a couple times, keeping it in line. That pop dot's going to be hid, that's why I used a big one, so it's got a good nice sticky area on it. And then I'm going to trim that off. And it never hurts to put a little dab of glue over that. And if I didn't mention, you are going to need pop dots for this. I'm just going to set that to the side for a moment. Get our sentiment, and let's put that together. And this one is my Get Well. That's the theme. We have a theme. It has to be purple and yellow, or Get Well, or Thinking of You. So I figured I would do 2 of each card, one in Get Well and one of Thinking of You, because I don't like to do 10 cards identical. But we are allowed to do that. So I've got my sentiment together. I'm going to put the small pop dots on the corners there, because we have that big one there we have to cover. So we want to pop dot this up to go over that. Let's see. I never can get these off of there. I usually use my Tim Holtz, but I didn't get it out. So, but this one will work fine. This out of the way. Lift without tearing. There it goes. There we go. And now I'm going to hold off on that because I am going to use one of my butterfly dies on this. And this time I want it to go over that thread. I put the other one together totally backwards. And let me show you guys just a little neat trick that I've learned. If you have a creative station, you can do that, but I don't like to use those with really intricate dies like this, die cuts, because I don't like having to clean out all the little glue places in it. So the way that I do it is I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on any dish or whatever, and I'm using a makeup sponge. And I dabbed it in the glue, and then I'm just going to put it on my Teflon sheet, which is off camera here, and I'm just dabbing the back of this with the glue that's on that sponge. And I've dabbed all over. It's sticky, May not have it quite enough. A little bit more glue. I might get some glue on here, but I'm going to show you guys. But I'm just dabbing on my Teflon sheet over here. You can do this on a scrap sheet of paper. But you want to work pretty quick because your art glitter glue dries quickly. And you want to get it stuck down before it dries on you. You can always go back and put it wherever, just a drop on the edges that were missed. I usually do it much better than that, get it covered really well, but for time's sake I'm not spending the time there. I'm not worried about any glue. I have my glue eraser. But I do want all these tiny pieces stuck down. There we go. Going over that thread is trying to give me a little run for my money, but I'm not going to let it. I'm going to hold that till it's stuck. There we go. Then I'm going to, wherever I got glue, again I'm going to use my glue eraser and get that off the front. And I'll clean that up a little bit more too once I'm finished, because I know I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to place my sentiment right about here. There we go. Yeah, the makeup sponge trick really does work, but you have to actually cover it, and I just didn't take the time to do that. Set this out of the way, clean up any extra little spaces. Make sure that you don't have any of your transparency sticking out. If you do, you'll want to take care of that. And then I'm going to place, how I want to do this one. I think I'll just do it here. Totally random. And I'm not concerned about that one sticking up, giving it that little 3D effect to go with the rest of the card. I told you I would stick my finger in glue and touch it. A little more difficult to get it off the white than it is the pearl paper. As long as it's not sticky, and I'll go back and work on that. And there you have it.